Hi everyone, welcome to another crochet tutorial. So for this tutorial I'll be showing you guys how I made this beautiful corset top. I did use a beautiful yarn and then I did use a mohair for the first time. This was my first attempt and I absolutely love the way everything turned out. So to be more specific, this is the yarn that I used. This is I think it's an acrylic yarn. Let's check. Yeah, this is a 50% acrylic and 50% polyester yarn, and one of these is 125 gram. I did double the yarn because this string is actually this tiny, so I doubled it. But again, I think you can use a medium weight yarn for this project. You don't have to if you don't have these available. I just wanted to use a different yarn from a medium weight yarn, and I just like the pattern on this particular yarn and then the colors as well, so I decided to use these two and double it. But if you don't have these available, then you can use a medium weight yarn of your choice. And again, I did use a mohair, so I doubled these two strings as well because one of these is actually also very tiny, just like the other yarn. So I did use two of these. No, I think I used a total of 6 for the entire project. So, and one ball of this is, let's see, one of these is 25 gram. So I did use 6 of these. I doubled the strings as well. I'll leave a link below because I got this yarn online, so I'll leave a link below in case you live anywhere in Europe. I think it's a brand in the Netherlands, so if in case you live in Europe and you want to get yourself one, then I'll leave the link down below for you guys. I would also check and see if I can find a link for these. I also got this from a Netherlands store, so in case you also live in Europe and you want to get these, then I'll leave a link for you down below as well. I did use 2 of these, so like 2 of these will be perfect for the project. And again, one ball is a total of 125 gram. So the other materials I used are 3mm. This is what I used for the panel, and then I used 4mm for the sleeve and the measurement tape and some stitch markers as well. So to get started, like I mentioned, we are going to get started with the bust measurement, and you're just going to subtract 2 from the bust measurement because that is going to be the gap that we'll need for the lace up at the end of the project. So you're going to, I am using a double strings of this yarn like I mentioned, but you can use a medium weight yarn for this project. You don't have to use this. So I'm going to start with a slip knot, and with my 3mm crochet hook, I'm just going to go ahead and make a chain that is as long as my bust measurement, but I'll subtract 2 from it. So for me, my bust measurement is 38 inches. I am going to make a chain that is 36 inches wide because again, you need to subtract 2 from the chain. So right here I have my chain. You want to make sure that the chain stretches to, you want to make sure that the measurement is measured when it's stretched, because again, this yarn is very stretchy, so you want to make sure you actually stretch this chain to 36. Again, you're going to subtract 2 from your actual bust measurement. So from here on, we are going to go ahead and chain an extra 1. So after chaining an extra 1, you're going to yarn over and you're going to skip this first chain and you're going to go into the second with a double crochet. And from here on, you're just going to go ahead and do 1 double crochet up until the end of this row. So you're basically going to insert 1 double crochet in every chain until you get to the very end of the row. So right here I'm at the end of this row. I am going to go ahead and just repeat this row for a few rows. So I did a total of 18 rows. So you're basically going to repeat this. Chain 1 at the beginning into this first double crochet. You're going to go with a double crochet, and you're going to repeat 1 double crochet up until the very end. And this is basically going to be the length from under your bust up until the upper part of your bust. So right on top of your bust is where this panel is supposed to actually land. That is supposed to be the length for it. So like, you're going to take your measurement from the upper part of your bust, which I'll insert a video for you guys, on up until the under bust area. So you're going to go ahead and do rows of double crochet until you get to that length, and then from there, if you're using a mohair like I am using, then you can switch to it. If not, you can still use the same yarn, or maybe another yarn, whatever yarn you want to go for. And then I'll meet you guys when I have this one complete, when I have 18 rows, because I did a total of 18, and then I think 18 is about 8 inches. And I'll come back and show you guys what the next step of this project is. So you're basically going to repeat 1 double crochet up until the very end, chain 1 and turn, and you're going to do this for a few rows until you have your desired length. So guys, right here I have the exact length for my bust, which is my under bust to my upper bust. So I did, I think, a total of 7 inches, but again, this yarn is very stretchy, so this stretches well, probably up to 9 inches, which is perfect. So I wanted to do about 9 inches when it's stretched, so it can fit around my body perfectly. So now I am going to go ahead, and I just decided, I cut off the yarn. So we are going to go ahead and just start working with the upper part, which is going to be from your upper bust up until your shoulder area. And for that, I am going to switch to a different yarn. Again, I'm going to use 2 of these things to get started. And of course, this is optional. You don't have to use this. You can use another different yarn. I feel like this is just going to give it a pop of color and just a different vibe basically. So from here on, this is how the panel is looking at the moment. So you want to make sure you lay this well, because this is where we are going to attach the zip at the end of the project. So you want to make sure that this is well balanced when you start working on the upper part, because now we are going to go ahead and actually add stitch marker on both sides, so we can know that this is going to be the back panel while the other opposite side is going to be the front panel. So I'm going to grab some stitch markers and then I'll be back in a bit. So I'm going to go ahead and mark the sides after making sure that the project is flat and equal on each side. I'm just going to mark the sides, so I'll just know that is where we are going to differentiate the back and the front panel from each other. So this is how it looks at the moment. So from here, I'm going to grab my yarn and I'm going to attach it to basically where I just like detached the other yarn I was using. I'm going to go ahead and attach it there with a slip knot and just make a secure knot. And from here, I'm just going to go one row of single crochet all around, of double crochet, sorry, all around this row. So I'm going to go ahead and chain 1, and right into this first, I'm going to go with a double crochet, and I'm basically going to repeat 1 double crochet all around this area. So right here, I'm just making sure while coming to the end, I'm going to add 1 double crochet up until the very end of this first row. So from here on, we are going to start the mesh pattern, but in this case, we are going to start working from this side up until the marked area, because we want to make sure there is an opening from this end up until the rest of the mesh pattern. So guys, right here I have one side of the mesh pattern complete, and that is actually the back, one side of the back panel. So again, I stopped at the stitch marker right here, and then I just went back and forth with the mesh pattern, which I'm going to show you guys how you can get that done as well. So I'm just going to grab my yarn and I'm going to attach it to the side of the panel. By the way, I'm still using my 3mm, so I'm going to attach it to the side of the panel, right into that first stitch, and I'm going to make a secure knot. Right there. And from here on, I'm going to go ahead and chain 3. So I'm going to grab this and I'm going to go ahead and chain 3, skip 2 double crochets. So 1, gonna skip 1, 2, and into the third I'm going to go with a double crochet, skip, chain 3, sorry, skip 2, and into the third I'm going to go with another double crochet, chain 3, skip 2, 1, 2, and into the third with another double crochet. And I'm basically going to repeat that up until I get to the stitch marker right there. So right here you can see that I just finished my last double crochet right where the stitch marker is. I'm going to get this out because at this point I will not be needing the stitch marker again. So I'm just going to take off this yarn that I used. So from here on I'm going to go ahead and chain 3 and turn, because we are going to walk to the opposite side of the panel. And from here I'm going to go right into this chain 3 space with a double crochet, chain 3, and into this chain 3 space I'm going to go with a double crochet again, chain 3, and into the chain 3 space I'm going to go with a double crochet again. So I'm going to repeat this up until the very end, and I'm basically going to repeat this all over until I have my desired length. And the desired length is basically from on top of your bust area to your shoulders. Remember that this mesh is very stretchy, so you can just stretch this and put this across your body to see how long this is. So I'm just basically going to finish off this row, chain 3, turn, and then I'll repeat the same thing until I have my desired mesh length, and I'll come back and show you guys what the next step is for the pattern. So guys, right here I have the 2 back panel complete. So now we are going to start working on the front panel. Again, we are going to attach, you can either attach a zipper to this side, or you can do a lace up, which I'll show you guys at the end. But now that we have both of this side complete, we are going to repeat the same thing on the front panel, which is just the same mesh pattern from this end up until the opposite end, just to create the same basic pattern. The only thing is the back is separated and the front is not. So I'm just going to again grab my yarn and I'm going to attach it to one side. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach it to this stitch where I did my last mesh right there, and I'm just going to make a secure knot. So right from here, I'm going to, again in the same case, chain 3, skip 2, 1, 2, and into the third I'm going to go with a double crochet. Again, chain 3, skip 2, and into the third with a double crochet. Again, chain 3, skip 2, and into the third with a double crochet. So I'm going to repeat this up until I get to the opposite side of the panel. So coming close to the end, and I'm just going to go ahead and chain my 3. So I have only one available stitch right there, so what I'm going to do in this case, I'm just going to ignore that, and I'm going to go into this same space where I ended off this side with a double crochet. So if you have the same situation where you don't have 2 stitch to skip, just go right into that same space with your double crochet. That will be fine. So I'm going to turn my rug because we are going to go to the opposite side of the panel, and from here on I'm going to go ahead and chain 3, and into this first double crochet I'm going to go with a double crochet, chain 3, double crochet into this chain 3 space, chain 3, a double crochet into the chain 3 space, and I'm going to repeat this up until the very end. So coming right to the end, I do have like my last chain 3 right there, so I'm going to chain 3 and make sure I go into that last chain 3 space with my last double crochet, just to make sure I have the same amount of double crochets for the entire row. So for this I'm going to repeat this again for another 8 rows, because I did a total of 10 for the back panel. So I'm going to do the same thing for the front panel. So I'm going to chain 3 and turn, and into the chain 3 space I'm going to go with a double crochet, chain 3, and into this next chain 3 space with another double crochet. So I'm basically going to repeat this until I have a total of 10 rows, and I'll come back and show you guys what the next step is for the pattern. So hey guys, right here I have my 10 rows complete. Again, this depends on what your armpit hole measurement is. So you're going to take your armpit hole measurement and just like divide that by 2, because we have 2 sides. So you're just going to do as many rows as you would need to. I did a total of 10 rows like I mentioned, and that is a total of 8 inches. So this again is the mesh pattern, and mesh pattern actually stretches, so keep that in mind. So you're just going to divide your armpit hole measurement by 2, and then you're going to make as many rows as you would need to get to that divided number. So now that I have my front and my back panel, both of my back panel complete, we are going to attach both of them together so we can get started with the sleeve. And to do that, because I want this to be an off shoulder thing, I'm not going to go entirely go right in or too wide on the attachment. I'm just going to go a little bit so I can have a room to play around with the off shoulder that I am going for. Again, this is optional. If you're not going for something off shoulder, then I'll suggest you just put this across your body and just determine how you're going to. So you're going to put this across your body and determine how wide you want yours to be. If you want yours to be an off shoulder like me, then I'm just going to go ahead and go 1 2 3 4 5, I think is enough, and I'm just going to single crochet up until the 5th double crochet right there, and I'm going to repeat the same thing on the opposite sides. But if you want yours, if you don't want it to be off shoulder, then I would suggest you go inward a little bit, depending on how wide you want the neckline to be. So I still have my yarn attached to this side of the panel. I am just going to go ahead so right here I'm going to go ahead and single crochet again the front and the back panel together. So I'm just going to grab this side of the panel. You want to make sure you start right where you did your first chain 3 at the beginning of that last row. You're going to insert your crochet hook and make a single crochet, and you're basically going to single crochet. I am going to do it for right until the 5th double crochet right there. So I'm going to start right here and end right at the 5th double crochet, which is 1 2 3 4 5. But again, like I said, if you don't want it to be too wide, if you don't want your neckline to be wide, then you're going to go ahead and do single crochet a little bit further than what I just did, than what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to make sure I align both of the panels together. You want to make sure you align both together, and you're just going to single crochet both of them together. And already, so I don't have to do this afterwards. Right there. So this is what it looks like when you turn this over. This is what the rows look like, and again, this is supposed to be your armpit hole. So again, you want to make sure this is wide enough to go around your armpit area. So I'm going to repeat the same thing on the opposite side of the panel. So I'm going to grab this side, make sure both of the panel aligns together, and in this case I'm just going to 1 2 3 4 5, because remember I stopped at the 5th double crochet. So I'm going to go ahead and attach my yarn right into this 5th. So now I know I'm going to work my way to the edge of this panel, and I'm just going to attach my yarn and make a secure knot like I did for the opposite panel. Right there. And from here on I'm going to go ahead and single crochet up until the edge of this panel. So right here I have both sides single crochet together. So this is going to be the wrong side of the top, while this side is going to be the right. So I'm just going to go ahead and turn this around so we can get started with the next side, next part of this panel. And for the sleeve, we are just going to go for a simple mesh sleeve, nothing too extra, but I am going to switch my crochet hook to a bigger size just so the sleeve can be a bit big. So from a 3 I'm going to switch to a 4mm, just a size bigger, nothing too extra. So with a 4mm we are going to get started with the sleeve. Again, I did switch from 3 to 4, and I did use 3 for this entire project, from the beginning to this point, but I'm going to go ahead and use 4 for the sleeve just because I want it to be a bit loose than this other part of the mesh. So again, I'm going to grab my yarn right here, and I'm going to attach it to this side of the panel, which is just the armpit area. I'm just going to go right into that space and make a secure knot. So to get started with the sleeve, I'm going to go ahead and chain 3, and right into this chain 3 space. So remember we chain 3 at the beginning to get started with this row. So I'm going to go right into the space with a double crochet, chain 3. Into this next chain 3 space, we are going to go with a double crochet, chain 3. Into this, we are going to go with another double crochet, chain 3. Into this with another double crochet, and I'm going to repeat this up all around the sleeve, the armpit area, until I get to the starting point. So coming right to the seam area around the shoulders, I'm going to go ahead and just go into the space with a double crochet. So right, this is the seam. I'm going to go right into there with my double crochet, chain 3, and I'm going to repeat just one double crochet in all this chain 3 space around this armpit area. So coming right at the beginning, I chain 3. I'm going to go into this chain 3 space. On the third one, I'm going to go with a slip stitch just to end off this row right there. So that is row 1, and this is what it looks like so far. You can really get to see. So to get started with the next row, I'm going to go ahead and chain 3 again, and right in between this first double crochet in this space, this double crochet, I'm going to go with the double crochet right there, chain 3. Into this chain 3 space, I'm going to go with a double crochet, chain 3, into this chain 3 space with a double crochet, and I'm going to repeat this up until I get to the end, slip stitch into that chain 3 space, that first chain 3 space, and I'm going to end of the row there and start the next row just the way I did the other row. So again, coming to the beginning of this row, I'm going to go ahead and just slip stitch right into this chain 3. So again, at the beginning we just have a double crochet and a double crochet right there, so there is no chain 3 in between these first two double crochets, which is fine. That is how we are going to end and begin the row off. So after slip stitching into that first chain 3, you're going to go ahead and chain 3, and again we are going to go into the space with another double crochet in between these two, and then from here we are going to chain 3 and repeat one double crochet, chain 3, one double crochet in the chain 3 space. So I'm going to repeat this until I have my desired sleeve length. So depending on how long or whatever sleeve you're going for, this is going to be different for everyone. So you're just going to repeat this pattern until you have your desired sleeve, and you're going to repeat the same thing on the opposite side as well. So I have my sleeve complete. These are the sleeve. One side is actually a bit longer than the other one because I ran out of yarn, and it was supposed to come today, but somehow the delivery is a bit late, so I think it's gonna get here tomorrow. So I'll eventually get to finish that off, but I wanted to just come on and start working on the other side of the top so I can get this top done and get the video up for you guys very soon. So the back is still open. I still have not decided on what I'm going to do at the back yet. So what I'm going to do for now is I'm going to go ahead and start working on the corset part of this top. So again, you're going to make sure you fold your top like this, making sure the back is flat and everything is just laying flat. So now we are going to start working on the corset part. So remember, this actual top is the length from your shoulders to your underbust. So now we are just going to work on few rows just to snatch this and give it a corset effect on the bottom part of it. So for that, I'm going to again just grab the yarn, this two bad boys that I've been using, so I'm going to grab these because these are what we are going to be using for that part of the top. So I'm going to grab the double string, right there, and for that I am switching back to my 3mm because that's what I use for this, and I want to make sure it's the same tension and I'm using the same hook. So what I'm going to do is, with my project, I'm going to make sure again that this is flat, and I'm going to attach my yarn to the side of the project. Let me zoom in a bit. So right here to the side of the project, I'm going to, that last stitch, I'm going to attach my yarn to that last stitch. And I'm just going to go ahead and make a secure knot. Touching my yarn, I'm going to go ahead and work my double crochet up until the opposite side. So I'm going to make sure I end right at the edge of this side of the panel as well. So I'm going to go ahead and chain one, and right into this first I'm going to go with a double crochet, and I'm just going to repeat one double crochet in every chain until I get to the very edge of this row. So right here at the end of the row, I am going to like end off my last double crochet into that last double crochet before I get to the next, to the back panel. So you're basically just going to make sure this is flat and identify where the edge of this front panel is, and work your stitch up until the edge of the panel. Right there. Again, you want to make sure this is flat so you can actually identify where you're going to end off this row. So from here on, we are going to go ahead and turn because we are going to start decreasing, because we want to make sure that we decrease inwards. So this goes inwards. So I'm going to go ahead and just turn without chaining anything because we will be decreasing. So I'm going to turn this project, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip this first double crochet. So I'm going to skip this first double crochet, and I'm going to go into the second with a double crochet. So the double crochet that I just skipped is going to be the first decrease, and from here I'm just going to go ahead and do one double crochet in every double crochet until the very end, where I'm going to go ahead and decrease again, because we are going to decrease on each side at the beginning and at the end of the row. So coming right at the edge, I have my two last double crochet right there, 1 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to yarn over, insert my crochet hook in this next, and I'm going to pull through. And instead of yarn over and pull through all two, the first two, I'm going to go into the next, and I'm going to grab my yarn. So I'm going to grab my yarn and pull through. Now I have four, sorry. Yarn over, pull through the first two, and yarn over, pull through the last three. So that is how I decrease. You're basically going to decrease that two last stitch together. So to get started with the next, because we are going to be decreasing again, you're not chaining anything, I'm just going to go ahead and turn this over, and from here on we are going to be decreasing twice. So we are decreasing 2 at the beginning and 2 at the end, because that is going to make the panel smaller, because at this point it is wide and we want it to be corset. So what I'm going to do in this case, I'm going to skip this first double crochet, which is a decrease, because I'm going to skip that one, and right into the second and the third I'm going to go ahead and attach both of them together. So I'm going to yarn over, insert my crochet hook into the second double crochet, pull through, and I'm going to insert my crochet hook into the next, yarn over, pull through, and now I have 4 loops. And just the way I did decrease, I'm going to go through the first 2, and I'm going to yarn over and go through the last 3 double crochets on the crochet hook. So from here on I'm just going to go with 1 double crochet into every double crochet up until I get to the end. So I'm going to get that done, and then I'll come and show you guys how we are going to decrease at the end, because we are going to be decreasing for 2 decrease, because we did 2 at the beginning, 2 at the end. So whatever you do on one side, you're going to make sure you do the same thing on the opposite side as well. So right here, coming to the end, I have 1 2 3 4 double crochet. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that into 2, because we are decreasing twice. So I'm going to yarn over, insert my crochet hook in this next stitch, and I'm going to insert my crochet hook into the next and grab, and I'm going to just do the same decreasing that I did, and I'm going to do that for the last 2 as well. And that is basically it for this row. So we did 2 decreasing at the beginning, and let's see, so we did 2 decreasing at the beginning, and then we did 2 at the end, and this is how it looks so far. Let me show you guys how it does. So this is what we have going on. So I'm going to repeat this for a few rows. I do not know how many rows I need to get done, so I'm going to get that done, and then I'll come back and show you guys what the project looks like. So I'll say go do the same, decrease 2 on each side until you for a few rows, and then I'll come back and show you guys what everything is looking like. So guys, right here I am actually back with the top, and I am going to finish off, because this is going to be my last row. Again, I don't want this to be super long, but again, you want to make sure it's just like long enough. So right here I'm going to go ahead and do my 2 sets of decrease, because remember we are decreasing 2 at the beginning and 2 at the end. So for this I'm just going to go ahead and do the same steps that I've been doing with decreasing twice on each side. So I'm gonna just cut this off and show you guys what this looks like at the moment. So this is how it looks at the moment. You can see that I decreased up until this point. I think I did for a total of 20, I think. Let me count. 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18. I did decrease for 18 rows, and at this point let me check the length of my actual top. So from the upper top to the bottom, it's currently 20 inches, which is the perfect length. But again, you can make this as long as you want, or even as short. If you do want to make this short like a crop top, I'd suggest you start decreasing inwards, because I started decreasing on the side, on the edge of the front panel. But if you want this to be shorter, you can go inwards and start decreasing a little bit inwards. It will come out a bit different, but it's still going to give you a corset kind of thing going on. But I went for this style, and I think it's fine. The only thing is, I did try to try the top on, and I realized that the shoulders were a bit too wide. So I'm going to go ahead and go in again on this side of the shoulders with a few more inches inside, so it's not going to be too wide. It's still going to be off the shoulder, but not too wide. So I'm just going to go in for a few inches. So again, you can just wear this top and put it across your body and see how wide the shoulder is, or how wide the top is at this point. And if your sleeves are long enough, because I did go ahead and add more length because I want my sleeve to be super long, so you're basically just going to try this on and decide if you have to fix anything. If you have to fix the shoulders, then go ahead and do so, like I'm about to. So now I'm going to start working on the lace up pattern. So for the lace up pattern, I wanted to add a zipper, but I don't think I have a color that is going to go with this colors on this top, and I don't want to wait too long before I can get this top finished. So I am just going to do a lace up pattern to the top. So the lace up pattern is going to be from this end up until the upper part, but because we did use like a mohair for this upper part, it's a bit and also we did use mesh pattern, so it's going to be it's not solid enough for us to make a lace up on this side. That is basically what I'm trying to say. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this yarn and I'm going to go ahead and single crochet around the edge of the entire top. So I'm basically going to start from this upper part and I'm going to go around the neckline up until the opposite side, where I'm going to single crochet all around up until the edge, and I'm going to go on this end and I'm going to go all around this corset part of the top, all around until I get to this side of the top where I started with the actual single crochet. And then from there we are going to go ahead and do the lace up pattern. I hope you guys understand what I mean. So I'm going to go ahead and attach my yarn to this part of the top. Again, I'm using this one because this is way more solid than the mohair, and I think it's going to give it a nicer definition around this neckline as well. So I'm going to make a secure knot, and from here on I'm just going to go ahead and chain one. So I'm going to chain one and I'm just going to go into every available space with a single crochet. So you're just going to look for every available space and you're going to go there with a single crochet. Like I said, this single crochet is going to just knitting around the edge of the top and just make everything nice and neat. So I'm just going to go around and single crochet, like I mentioned earlier, all around the top. One single crochet. So you should be able to find the chains that you did in between this double crochet set. So you can also just go into the chains and into the double crochet with one single crochet, because I wouldn't want you to go ahead and do way more than you'd need to, because then the neckline is going to be a bit too wide and that's not what we're going for. So you want to make sure you check for the chains or for the double crochet that you have around the neckline and around the entire top, just to make sure you're putting the right amount of single crochet. So right here I'm at the seam. I'm just going to go into this space with a single crochet and I'm going to again repeat the same single crochet all around until I get to the opposite side of the top. And this is how it looks so far. So I'm going to repeat this all around, like I mentioned, all around the top with single crochet. So right here I have everything single crochet together, so that was the starting point. So I'm going to go ahead and come back with the lace up pattern, because we want to make sure we have loops so we can lace up this top at the back. So I'm going to show you guys what I usually do for that. So again, I'm going to chain one and I'm going to turn this around because I'm going to be working downwards. And to get started with the lace up, I'm going to go ahead and single crochet in this first single crochet right here. And after a single crochet, I'm going to go ahead and chain three. going to skip 2 single crochets. So right here we have 1, 2, and into this third I'm going to go with a single crochet. And right here you see we have 1 loop already that we are going to use to lace up this top. So from here on I'm going to go into the next with a single crochet as well, and I'm going to chain 3 again, skip 2, and into the third I'm going to go with a single crochet again, and into the next single crochet with a single crochet, chain 3, skip 2 single crochets, and into the third I'm going to go with a single crochet, and into the next with another single crochet. So right here we have 1, 2, 3 loops. So I'm going to repeat this up until the very end. So I'm going to chain 3, skip 2 single crochets, and into the third I'm going to go with a single crochet, and into the next I'm going to go with a single crochet as well. So I'm basically going to repeat the same pattern until I get to the end of this. So coming to the end, I have 1 single crochet right there. I'm going to go into that loop with my last single crochet, and from here on I'm just going to go ahead and make a random chain that is long enough to lace up this top. So you're just going to randomly chain as long as you would want the chain to be. So after my random chain, I am going to go back into the chain with half double crochet just to make this lace up thing solid, and afterwards I'm just going to go ahead and cut the yarn off when I get to this point, and I'm going to repeat the same lace up pattern on the opposite side of the top. This side I'm going to repeat this on the opposite side, do the same chain at the bottom, and I'm going to do the half double crochet again, and I'll come back and show you guys what the final top actually looks like. So coming to the end, I am just going to go ahead and single crochet a few single crochets around this area just so I can seal this off, and then I'm going to cut off the yarn and sew in my loose end. And I'm just going to go in and sew in around all this loose end. And that is basically it for this tutorial. So you can go ahead and cut off all the yarn that you have lying around, and I'm just going to show you guys how I go about lacing this thing up. So right here you have your 2 straps. You're just going to grab, because we already made loops, so it's easy for you to just lace this up. So I'm just going to go into this first loop right here, and I'm going to just insert this strap from the other end inside, making sure it's straight, and I'm going to grab this strap from the opposite side, and I'm again just going to go into this first loop and just lace it up right there. And I'm just going to do this up until I get to the top of the top with the lace up pattern. So this is it for this tutorial, guys. I am just going to go ahead and just cut off all the loose yarn that I have lying around, because at this point my project is complete. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video and enjoyed this tutorial. I am hoping to get a matching skirt for this top, so look forward to that tutorial and look forward to the pattern as well. And I guess I will see you guys in another video. And if you haven't subscribed yet, feel free to join, feel free to subscribe, and give me a big thumbs up as well if you like this video, and if this video has been helpful to you. Show me love and just subscribe and like this video. And I guess I'll see you guys in another video, in another tutorial, or another vlog, or another video basically.